Okay, so tell me, hit me with it. So your background. So Chun's is AV design, and Mac, you're a fully qualified professional life coach and a motivational speaker.
Hmm.
Yeah, so of course we come from a I come from a DJ background, and Mac's been my microphone controller for the best part of 15 years.
Super.
Obviously, we took a sabbatical in that time just to pursue our personal careers. So I originally was in AV design, but then I moved towards more product design in various different spaces. I'm in the medical industry as well.
Bloody hell. Yeah.
And obviously Mac decided to pursue the mental health and life coaching side of things. But we've both come together again as individuals and created this brand, Roots and Rhymes.
Wow.
Yeah, as Chun says there, like we've known each other from day dot. Really, it's we go back a long way, and you know we've always had this love for music, and it's played a huge part in our upbringing and in who we are as people. And obviously, you know, career paths. Chun's gone down the AV route for me. I've gone down the kind of mental health therapy kind of aspect, which, you know, now more than ever is playing a real part in people's lives. But, you know, it all does come back to the fact that, you know, no matter what we do, wherever we go in our careers, there's this underlying love for music that is just so prominent within us both that we like to keep in touch with. And that's how Roots and Rhymes was ultimately born.
I love it. You brothers have been proper busy, man. You're not playing about, man. You've had bloody, you've had Caper, Jagtar, Manj Music, Harpscore, DJ Nav Music, DJ Harps, Rishi Rich, Suk Ojla, Vic Kent, Jay Sean, Red Valve, Cam and Sat. You know what it is? I love Red Valve. Like as soon as I heard Yarveli, I thought old BMWs setting fire to microphones, condenser microphones. I was like, no, how can they do that?
The craziest thing is, for anybody else, this is like, oh my God, this is so old school. But for myself and Mac, we know Cam and Sat so well. We've known them for many years. That is their personality.
Yeah.
And you know what? Their music, their personality shines through their music. The old school B lines, almost using analog equipment to make sure they get that real sound. That's them, man, and their music reflects that. Brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. That's what's so nice to see about Red Valve, is because, like Chun says, we've known them for ages. So, you know, when you see people put out music, and sometimes you know that they're just kind of jumping on a hype or jumping on a trend and trying to do something that's relevant at the moment. But with Cam and Sat, that is them.
That's them.
That is them all over. Like that's what they've always been about. It's so true to their identities, and it's just great to see that come out. And what a banger as well! Like, unbelievable work.
Oh my God, that is one of those songs. As soon as I saw the video, right, I thought I put it on repeat, and I just thought,
100%.
Yeah, trust me, man. I just thought to myself, the engineering of the doll, right? Now that's what got to me the most as well. I know it sounds dumb, but different people's ears pick up different things. We'll hear things differently.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But the way the doll was engineered, and I thought it took me back to the days of the way the doll's engineered with the DJ Shake and Bindar Jat sort of doll sort of sound, and I thought the way it's crisp.
So that's exactly what they're going for as well. I mean, if you've ever spoken to Cam and Sat, Cam, he knows his old school. He knows his old school inside out, Bindar Jat, all that kind of stuff. He's all about that, and that comes through in the music as well. And he's a fantastic doll player himself, and they play all their own instruments where they can. So this is, it's really appreciated. We know what they're like, but the fact that you can hear it as well is it must be great for them to hear.
Cam's an audio geek. I'm going to say that right now.
He is big time
as well. I hope he's listening, because he is an audio geek. Oh, we love him for it. We love him for it.
Wow. Well, what it was, I think I was in talks to interview them on my show at some point, because with Red Valve. So that was last year. Because as soon as I heard the track, I got to shoot over a message. I got to do it, because in terms of sickness, I think around the same time, Raf Cepda's Glassy Rhythm dropped as well, around the same time. So I thought to myself, how sick are these tracks, and what a great time to be a radio guy. And I thought, with all this amazing music coming in.
Absolutely.
I thought, but the way the doll, for me, absolutely did it. They've got an interview which they did as well on like a video interview on Cam and Sat, and I watched that as well. and I thought I love the workflow. Are the Handsworth boys?
Yeah, Handsworth Woods. So yeah,
Oh, no,
very, very.
the posh, yeah.
They're not.
Well, you walk down the road, maybe not so much, but yeah, they're all about it, man. And the thing is, like we discussed on the show with them as well, their background was growing up listening to West Indian music, reggae, that kind of stuff, and them deep, low bass vibes that they put through on their music reflects that as well, and their knowledge as well. I mean, to the extent that we're not going to give too much away because we want people to go and listen to it, but they were ready to move out to Jamaica at some point as well, to do that. So that's massive. You know, tune into the podcast to listen to that. It's a really interesting story.
It was a good one. There was things that, like, you know, we've known them for how long? Chun's 10 years, maybe longer than that. Probably 20
easy
years now.
Yeah.
We learned new things about them that we didn't know, because you just don't have that time to sometimes sit down with someone and really have that, like, biography kind of story from them. And you know, it's a good one as well, because we've known them for so long. There's a lot of banter flying around, and you know, like especially with Cam being the older brother, and I've known him a lot longer than Sat, but there's always a lot of banter flying around. But you know, as much as that is the case, the fact of the matter is, Red Valve are incredibly talented musicians, man. They're just brilliant at what they do.
Of course,
absolutely,
of course, without a shadow of a doubt. Now, you guys are mega talented at what you do. So I've noticed, like, I think one of your I think this the second show, Chun's interviewed Makh.
Yeah.
It was the first one.
Oh, the first one. Yeah, the first one. Yeah. Apologies. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought.
So that was really interesting, wasn't it? I think it was a combination of two things. Obviously, we know each other the best, but I think Makh has got a great story to tell, and it also allowed us to kind of set the stage for Roots and Rhymes and talk about Makh's background. I mean, myself, I built a lot of relationships in the industry, so a lot of people that know me already kind of know my background. But obviously, Makh's always been a little bit understated and often is quieter than I am. I like to shout from the rooftops about what I'm doing, but Makh's a bit more chilled out about it. So it was more a case of let's put Makh on the stage. It dusted off the cobwebs for us a little bit as well, to speak to each other and get in a flow of interviewing and stuff. But it gave us, or me, an opportunity to kind of showcase what Makh's about, because there's a lot of really interesting stories in there, and obviously interesting about his background as well.
Brilliant. How have you okay, if you look at the shops in your locality during lockdown, right? So a lot of SMEs, small to medium enterprises, they've had to close up shops. So how has that impacted your mindset? Have you do you look at the world in an Orwellian way, like how I'm looking at it, like, wow, the state's taking over, man? It's like the big corporates are literally, so how has that impacted you in Bradford?
Makh, do you want to go for this one?
Yeah. You know, I think it's a good question, but it's we're in a period of massive uncertainty right now. Like, it's huge. You know, we usually have the illusion that we have some sort of control over life, that we know what's going to happen next, or that things that are stable. And what this pandemic is teaching us, that everything is up for grabs in terms of how life is at the moment. You know, like you're saying, in terms of business, things that you think would be just staples in the business arena are now falling by the wayside. You know, if you look at the travel industry, for example, you know, you would say that that's traditionally one of the most stable industries, because in Britain, everyone wants to go on holiday. Right now, you cannot travel anywhere. It's done. And so the world is changing. The landscape's changing. Small and medium businesses, they're struggling, not just financially, emotionally, to cope through these times as well. And, you know, big corporations have an advantage because they've got infrastructure, whereas some of these small businesses, they're not used to facing such radical change, or having, investors or private equity people that are backing them to ride them through this time. They're just getting by they simply expect a certain amount to come in every month. If it doesn't come in that month, they're really going to struggle. And so it's a huge impact. But I think that, you know, from my perspective, what will always be the case is, yes, the financial impact is going to be huge, but the mental health impact of that stress is enormous. And that's where the huge problems are with people actually not just getting through this and still having a business intact, just getting through this and still being intact as a person. That's the real challenge here.
Yeah. Trust me. So, Chunz, what you going to say on this, or did he just throw the hot potato over to Makh?
No, absolutely. Max discussed this day in, day out. I mean, of course, he's speaking to people firsthand about the impact of it. I can only say my perspective. My perspective of it is that absolutely the financial impact of it and shops closing and that kind of thing, that is temporary. People will find a way to get their businesses to survive, especially the big corporations. They'll be looking at ways of investing in different types of businesses to leverage and to make up for financial losses. But for the people, for the individuals, it's a huge impact, either financially, their way of life, they're unable to put food on the table, or in fact, their mental state of mind, which is going to stay a lot longer. I mean, finances can recover. It's a commodity. It's something that is a number in a bank account that can always grow or decrease or whatever.
Yes.
But your mental state of mind is so much more fragile.
Yeah.
And I think now we're starting to see a lot more of it. I think a lot of people, even the strongest people, even that I spoke to personally, have been okay for the first 6 to 9 months. But we're kind of getting to a point now where everybody's kind of having a wobble. And they're kind of like, you know what, you almost can't see an end to it. And I know the vaccine's around and it's going to help us and that kind of thing. But if anybody thinks that we're going to go back to the new normal anytime soon, I think that's a bit of a delusion. Yeah. I think we're not going to really see what we know as normal, at least for another couple of years.
Yeah.
And obviously and we hear that from the people that we speak to as well, especially with the podcast. Makh himself, in his career through life coaching, speaks to individuals. But the people that we spoke to on the podcast, you may not always hear it on the show, but the offline conversations that we're having there, the guests are saying, "Oh, thanks for giving us this platform. It's just really quiet at the moment. What are we supposed to do?" You know, they've got music that they want to release, but they're like, you know what? It's a dance floor hit. There's no dance floors open. What's the point in us releasing it? Because they don't make money off the music. Streaming, it accounts for such a small part of our guests' income or online kind of revenue. It's all about live shows, and that's not existent anymore. It's a dead industry right now.
Very true. I think Jay Sean picked up on that on your podcast, didn't he? Because he's used to being a live performer and stuff. So I'm on the ball regarding that. I do my homework, so which is good. Because I know I come across as unprofessional and sloppy and all the rest of that, but behind there's this evil calculating brain working. So, but yeah, what I got a message from Claire saying I love their accents and. Where they're from? Go Bradford. Go.
What accent? What are you talking about?
I think they're talking about yours. Yours sounds like a Midlands one. I'm originally
Wolverhampton, born and bred, mate. So.
All right, Black Country.
That way. Battered chips. But yeah, man. So I think they've already answered the question. How did they both meet and come together? And how long have we known each other?
Oh man.
Oh, so me and Makh have probably known each other. How old am I now? Probably the best part of 25 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Easy 25 years. It's we go way back. So Makh went to school with one of my cousins originally, and we met through that. But then also, as he said in the beginning, it's kind of this love for music that brought us together, and we used to have a lot of discussions, just amateur producing, growing up. Then Makh pursued the rapping side of thing and production. I kind of went off on the DJ side of things, and then we naturally just came back together. It was almost meant to be, really. We kind of merged our two talents and created this synergy between each other, and the rest is history, really. And we've had little opportunities where we've taken sabbaticals from the scene, but we've always come back. Because I think our relationship and our energy matches each other really well.
Yes.
So it's only natural that it attracts.
Yeah, it's never over with us in music. I think that's the thing. You know, it's never. We've we like to say known each other 25 years. So we can genuinely say it's family. It's not even a friendship now. I don't think you can define it as that. You know, the roots are so much deeper than that. But when it comes to music, we're we might be on pause, but it never stops. It's just we'll always come back to it in some way, shape or form.
Brilliant. Mac, am I correct that your favorite album is Bad by MJ?
It's got to be one of them. It's got to be one of them because the great dynamic between me and Chunz, and something that really works for us, is I'm more influenced by the reggae, the hip hop, the sort of that kind of music, and Chunz is too, to a certain extent. But I think with me, it's a little bit more pronounced. And I've Bhangra for me and Desi music is not even, I wouldn't even say it's not my first love. It's not something that I've grown up on, just because of the way I grew up, the community that I grew up within, and the people that I was around. So MJ Bad for me is just one of those albums where, like, how can it not be in your top five of all time? Like the man himself, the songs on the album, what they meant, how they changed the world. You're talking about whatever you feel about Michael Jackson, which is definitely not a conversation for this station.
Yeah.
The artist Michael Jackson, you're talking about probably the greatest artist of all time.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. So, Chunz, favorite album, bro?
It's a difficult one because it's so difficult for me, because my background it's very much a 50-50. I grew up listening to a lot of rap, R&B, hip hop, but at the same time I had this huge love for Bhangra and Desi music. So it's difficult to say what my favorite album of all time is. If I had to go for the one that springs out at me from a hip hop R&B front, and I remember, and the nostalgic factor that it takes me back to, I think it would have to be LLJ, the Mr. Smith album. That's one of my favorite albums of all time, because it takes me back to a time where I developed my love for music, and it came from my older brother, who used to play it in the car. And then at that age, I used to go and tell my dad that I was swearing in that song or whatever. But I actually learned to love the music and that particular album. If it was
to swear with that album,
yeah. So if it had to be a Desi album, it's such a tough question. It has to be the likes of the old school. Like, I don't know, maybe as old as like Downs by Hira. That type of era, because they set the paving stones, didn't they, for everybody? And they're the ones that you could go back and listen to and think, you know what, these guys are brilliant. What they did, and they came to this country as first generation Indians, set their families up, and also decided to set up a live band in their spare time and sing and make a success of it, and actually become pioneers in the industry. I mean, that's but the music aside, I think just what they did is unbelievable and needs recognition.
Of course. Great answer there. Now, okay, I'm jumping back a step over here. Talking about impacts of lockdown. So obviously that's affected every industry, including the music industry as a whole, and then as a subdivision of that, the Asian music sort of live scene and events. So that's where you guys come in with the We Make Events campaign. So educate me and the listeners, please.
Absolutely. So we obviously introduced Roots and Rhymes because we were in a position where we weren't doing live events. We weren't traveling the country as we usually would. So we thought we'd use it as an opportunity to discuss with our fellow colleagues, not just in the music industry, but within popular culture. We speak to comedians, etc., all people that share the stage, basically.
100.
And the first season was more a case of let's keep ourselves busy. But then it became apparent that this is actually a long-term thing, and this is devastating people. And as I mentioned earlier, people aren't releasing their best music because they're saving it because they want to actually perform it live on stage, and because there's no live stages open, they're unable to. So, but what we ended up realizing, because I've got a lot of friends in the AV industry, mainstream AV industry, and you hear about it at big festivals, Glastonbury and stuff like that. We Make Events is really prominent, but nobody's talking about it in our community, in the British Asian community. And I think I think that's twofold. One, because they're actually not aware that there's actually campaigns and charities available to speak to people about that. And two, I think there's almost a stigma within the British Asian community about discussing finances and the financial impacts and stuff like that. So people don't want to talk about it outwardly. So it's more of an opportunity for us to use the podcast as a platform to say, hang on a sec, guys, people are being devastated here. People are, and not just artists, like the guy that runs the speakers, guys that controls the lighting, the guy that's the stage runner, people that are stewards in venues and stuff. It's all a part of gig culture. And these people have not been working for almost a year. And that's bad for the industry, and it's bad for their livelihoods. And if we have a platform where we're speaking to influential people, why not push that point across? And why not get these influential people on board to say, we understand your struggles, right? But let's push this. Let's say that more needs to be done, more support needs to be given, and there's more support available.
Yeah, it's a really great charity and organization. Like Chun says, I think it's easy from the outside to look at the events industry and just see the artist that you're going to see, or just see the main act. But you know what I've learned over the years, and this is through working with Chunz, is that if you're going to do a gig, like I can turn up with a microphone and perform and be off and done. Yeah. But you talk, like you're saying, there's in these gigs, in weddings, in festivals, there's people who don't get the glory or don't get the spotlight shined on them, that do a hell of a lot of work, that rely on an event to be able to pay their bills. And we both have felt the impact of that. If it wasn't for lockdown, we'd be doing a lot more live stuff. So we've been directly impacted by that. But also we do know that it's not about just the performers, it's about everybody else who don't get support, the gig culture. And it's really important for us, this We Make events as well, because they really do tackle the mental health aspect of things as well. So for us, it's a really good synergy, because it's everything that we stand for as a brand ourselves. It's about music. It's about what goes into that. It's about all the people that are involved. It's about their financial well-being. It's about their mental well-being. Yeah. That's everything that resonates with us. But as Chunz mentions, the reason why we wanted to pick that up is because it doesn't get talked about in the British Asian community. It doesn't get any spotlight shined on it. It's something that we need to talk about more. And that's from the perspective of, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to say you're struggling financially. It's okay to have struggles with your mental health. Unless you confront those issues, they're never going to go away. The Indian culture and the Asian culture is really good at sweeping things under the carpet because they don't want to look weak. Yeah. And actually what we're saying is we're not about that. We actually want to talk about these things. And, mental health wise, you might be fine, but you might be struggling financially, or you might just be struggling in another area. Let's talk about it. But if you're not ready to talk about it, just know that there is someone that's available to help. And that's what We Make events do.
Wow. So what got to me the most was the interpretation of Rishi Sunak's statement. That people, whether in the arts or musicians, they should consider reskilling. I'm not sure how it was interpreted, but Goldie jumped on it. A lot of people jumped on it, man. And I thought to myself, I thought the importance of music. God's sake, if you want to talk about sound being used as a bloody weapon, as against you, and DARPA and all the rest of that, and subsonic low frequencies, but look at the positive aspect of music, keeping people sane, bringing people together. So how did you feel when that when there was outrage about that statement, whether it was misinterpreted or how do you feel about it?
I'm sure I think with all of these things, my personal approach to these things is not to get too caught up in swinging one way or the other. I'm sure there was a good intention behind what he had to say. I'm sure that he didn't mean it in a disrespectful manner. However, saying to people reskill and seeming to not place value on the skills that are out there is a little bit naive, I guess, because I don't think that is, he's not involved in the music industry. He's a politician. He's involved in a different industry. So, he's going to find it very difficult from the outside looking in at what the impact for people who are so influenced by music and need music. Music's one of those things. Finances very easy to say because it's the numerical value associated with it. There's a number in a bank account.
Yeah.
When you're talking about music, you're talking about feeling, you're talking about emotion, you're talking about a visceral kind of reaction to things. And, you know, music heals, music helps people express their emotions. So I think that, you know, whilst I don't necessarily think he meant it as disrespectfully as it might seem, that it's a little bit naive in terms of the music, and the music industry has a huge role to play. And it's too easy now to say, oh, just upskill and do something else. You're talking about people who have dedicated their life to an industry to say, go and do something else. We can't let these kind of things die.
We can't. Bloody hell. Chunz?
Yeah, so completely agree with what Matt's saying. I think it wasn't said in a way that he wanted to allow the industry to die, but I think it came across very insensitive to the people that have dedicated their lives to that industry. Especially, like you say, people like Goldie coming out. What he's done for the UK music scene, on a musical level, drum and bass, that side of thing, DJing, absolutely huge. But on an educational level as well, he's actually fronted academies for music, so creating jobs in that particular industry as well. So just to say, you should maybe look at retraining. I think it's a little bit insensitive. However, the flip side of it is, I have friends who have retrained, and I've thought, okay, I don't know when I'm going to be able to hit a stage again. So maybe I want to look at investing in more businesses and maybe try to do something else and kind of to keep myself going. So, okay, Rishi said to everybody, retrain. However, these people want to still go back to that industry. They don't want to, it's only a stopgap until they can hit the stage again. So I think it's extremely important that we do still revive the industry. It's not a case of let it die, because ultimately it can't. Music does everything for everyone. I mean, obviously Rishi is a politician. It's not a massive part of his own job, or probably the people around him. However, it does affect everything massively. I mean, you look at music for charity and stuff like that. It's a medium that's used for several different reasons, not just for people to hit a stage or to go clubbing and drink and that kind of thing. I mean, look at the likes of Live Aid and stuff. That was the amount of money that they actually raised for charity and for underprivileged people was all the bringing together of artists within music. And it's a massive aspect of our community as well. British Asians, I think we're all in agreement that British Asians are extremely generous when it comes to giving and charity in that extent. And that's why we base a lot of our music events around charity as well. And that's why we wanted to put an element within the podcast and campaign for this as well, because literally nobody is talking about it. And I know Rishi said retrain, so we're retraining ourselves to campaign for this cause.
Wow.
I just want to add to that, because I think it's a great question that you bring up. I really, really, really like it. And I just think that Rishi, you know, he's doing probably the best job he can do right now. I do think he got his semantics wrong, though. I think that instead of saying to someone retrain, which sounds like it means forget what you used to do and go do something else, I think what he really should have been a bit more sensitive about is saying, look, you know, you might need to temporarily adjust. And I think that would have lowered the blow, rather than saying retrain. Retrain sounds like a very aggressive kind of thing to say to someone. But if you just say, look, temporarily, maybe just adjust and see what else you can do to make ends meet. Right now, you might be struggling and your industry might not be able to pay the bills. So how else can you look at this right now? How else can you adjust to the situation with the hope that you can go back to it? But I think that this is why I don't want to be too overly critical, even that I think it did come across insensitive. I think that you got the wording wrong.
Yeah. Well, from my perspective, I took it as a warning for the future. If a guy in that position clearly has got a bird's eye view of finances and structuring deals, his background was Goldman Sachs, and he was around during a subprime mortgage, whatever you want to call it, scandal, what have you. But yeah, if someone like that gives you an indicator, it gave me a hint as to the future which we're in now. as to how things are going to be. So I took it quite seriously regarding that. So for me personally, I got the scholarship through to be a chartered financial analyst at the same time. But then, you know, people around me said to me, "Don't do that. Stick on the radio. You're doing really well on the radio. Just stick on doing that." I go, "Well, should I take it? Because I'm worried about the future. I got to provide for you lot." I thought, no, I'm not having my arm twisted and I give up on the things that I love doing at the end of the day. So I'm lucky in a sense that I run everything on a shoestring budget. And I'm used to doing that for the last 5 years. When you're building a business, that's what you got to do. So with lockdowns, you know, well, the first lockdown never really affected me in the sense that I'm stuck here working every day anyway. You know what I mean? So, but for other people which are used to going out and about, I found that quite savage. Now, tell me more about Backup.
So Backup is a charity which has been, so We Make Events has designated Backup as their charity partner. So We Make Events is the campaign which do all the work to raise awareness, and Backup is the charity that they have designated to raise funds for.
Yeah.
So the charity itself is an amazing charity. It's used as it's a charity that provides for people who are in the entertainment industry, either as riggers or at the forefront on stages, and they help financially. So you can apply for support financially to help either pay bills if you're in a position where you're unable to work as a result of either poor health,
yes,
or unforeseen circumstances in the industry. So this falls absolutely hand in hand with the pandemic and exactly what's going on at the moment. So I think it's a fantastic charity. It's a very small charity, but it's very focused on what they do. I mean, we could have very easily donated to one of the larger charities, but we felt as if the money which is donated for that will just get diluted and spread across various different agendas that these charities have. So we were happy to partner with We Make Events.
Yes.
And the fact that they chose such a focused charity, Backup, was extremely important to us. And I think it's such a worthy cause. There's case studies on the website which you can read that have helped people who have been diagnosed with illnesses and cancers, and they've helped towards their treatment, or even the help towards paying their household bills. Because whether we like it or not, the industry itself has a lot of freelancers and a lot of contractors, and a lot of people that are within the gig culture. So if they're not working, they're not earning. And it's not like when they are earning, they're earning a great deal of money. It's a pretty basic salary. They do it for the love of the music, and they do it for the love of the work and being in that environment. But unfortunately, if you are struck down, or you are a victim of the pandemic, either by contracting the illness or by ways of the industry being devastated, then unfortunately this is going to take a heavy toll on you. And Backup are there to really support these people mentally as well as financially as well. They work with various different organizations and groups to help support people mentally.
Wow. I think it's absolutely beautiful what you're doing, because, you know, at the end of the day, you're right about our community being proud. You know, at the end of the day, I've gone beyond that. Basically, if you ever see me walking about the area, you'll see me in ripped clothes and all the rest of that. That's the way I wearing rags, because I do that because I just don't like people talking to me, to be honest. You know what I mean? I just if you look like a vagrant, people go, avoid him. You know what I mean? Maybe they give you a quid as well. But it's just but it's just what you're doing, I feel, is very, very, very noble, and it's a brilliant thing. But your initial target then is to reach £1,000. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah. So that's our initial target. We want to hit £1,000, and we want people to help us do that. And I know a lot of the people that we speak to are people that have been affected, so we don't expect them to donate. It's more of an appeal to the listeners, just saying, just donate to this such a worthy cause. Help us help other people, and we will do all the campaigning. We will stand at the forefront and shout it from the rooftops. We just need your help to reach that initial target, and that initial £1,000 will go a hell of a long way. You imagine Imagine someone's heating electricity bill might be 60, 70 quid for the month. We can possibly help 10 to 12 or 15 people to help heat their homes while they're going through this devastating time. And we're not shipping the money abroad to anybody. Like, it's all here within the UK. It's affecting people right here. But also at the same time, as well as the donation, it's about telling people who aren't aware that there is support available.
Yeah.
So if you have been affected, you can apply for support. You can go to Backup and say, I'm struggling here. I don't have any work at the moment. Can you help me out? And that money can go towards you as well.
Yeah. Awareness is key with this, what we're doing. It's
absolutely.
You know, it's one of those where it's a great endeavor, but what we're really, our role in this, and if we can help raise awareness and let people know that support is available, and, you know, where they previously thought there isn't, then we've done our bit. Even if it's just signposting, you know, that's still a great part of the journey, because there's, you know, and this is why, again, with the British Asian community, raising awareness within our community that this is happening, because it's easy to think you're on your own right now, and there's some wonderful people doing some amazing things out there. And if we can, like I say, signpost, raise awareness, raise funds, then, you know, we're happy to play a small role in a fantastic organization.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to jump to a low-level question. Here we go.
Okay.
Basically, a very a shallowy sort of question. So, okay, how about you? What's your favorite food, both of you, and why?
Okay, so mine is Thai food. Absolutely love Thai food. I love a chicken gang Penang curry. And don't get me wrong, I love roti, dal, all that kind of stuff. But that aside, that's the staple. But it has to be Thai food for me.
Brilliant, Mac.
I'm going to play it really safe here and say Indian food, and I'll tell you why. Because
I could tell you that as well.
Because, you know what, like there is so much variety with our food. You know, there's nothing better for me than homemade Indian food. You know, I love Thai food as well. When Chun said Thai food, I was like, oh yeah, Thai food. Bloody, I forgot about Thai food. How good is that? But you know, anything flavorful for me, it's all about flavor and spice. You know, I think the Jamaican cuisine is phenomenal. Thai food's amazing, but Indian food always takes it. For me, I saw something on Instagram the other day, and it was like an Indian, like it was a joke, and it was saying like an Indian family went to an English person's family for dinner, and they think they've got COVID because they couldn't taste anything. So, but it's all about spice. It's all about spice.
It is all about spice. You know what? I knew Mac would say that, and the reason why is because anytime we're working, we're on the road, or we're doing any kind of recording or anything like that, it's either two things for Mac. Oh, Mac, do you want to get a bite to eat? Yeah, cool. What do you want? It's either HFC grilled chicken burger or it's roti. That's it. It's either one of the two.
That's true. That is true.
Do you know? I've been cooking a lot, man, during lockdown, because I miss Mom's food because their family's in the Midlands and that. So I do a lot of cooking. Rotiyan are now naturally circular, but out here,
that's an achievement, that, brother.
Without using the plate in it. so
people often ask, what did you achieve during the lockdown? Dad's gonna be like, my roti hour round.
It's true, but from
that's how we retrained.
That's how we retrained. But yeah, cooking, because what it is, I do a lot of cooking at home. A lot of cooking, like full on torka, making pots of dal and everything, grele, you know, bindia, the whole lot, man. I'm on it because it's our culture to eat.
Are you vegetarian, Dad?
Yeah. Well, most of the time, but most of the time. But the thing is, if I do, you know, have to eat anything like that, meat, there's a certain amount of bhakti and prayer and all the rest that you have to do. I don't know, but it's very interesting conversation. But I'll avoid that one. But but now, I try and be vegetarian most of the time because I read some very, very interesting scriptures and very old scriptures and stuff. I'm studying Sanskrit at the moment, and I'm finding it
interesting, very interesting,
very difficult, very, very difficult.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Trust me, I've had to go back and do. I've gone back picking up my Punjabi as well. Like over here, you will see. All done. Let's have a look. We've got a piece of cardboard here. You got the whole.
Ura era iris.
I remember being at Punjabi
takes you
school.
Straight back to Punjabi school.
Exactly, but the thing is, I've really gone back to studying the work of Buddha Singh, the 10 Masters. I thought very important. I thought while I'm learning Sanskrit, I'll sharpen up my Punjabi because it's hilariously poor, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to teach my kids? Am I going to teach them the whitewashed version of history? Is that what I'm going to teach them? Am I going to teach them about Operation Blue Star, or am I going to teach them about Operation Woodrose? Am I going to teach them about the Sarups being taken and stolen by the Indian Army? So I guess I have certain freedoms afforded to me because I'm doing stuff independently. And if I was working for another organisation, I'd have a hand around my throat saying, "You can't say that live on air."
Can't say that. No, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. So I am a bit savage on my show, but at the end of the day, it's about telling the truth. Now, what I was going to get at is you've got support from a lot of people on this, and I've also noticed that you're. Am I correct to say that you're going to be doing a remix of one of Jay Sean's tracks?
No, so I think that often gets lost in translation a little bit. So basically, what we did is in order to kickstart the campaign for season 2, we approached Rishi Rich, and we basically said to Rishi, "You were by far probably one of our most listened to shows in season 1, and we're huge fans." And what Rishi did in 2003, running through until 2010, was absolutely huge for the industry itself. It almost encompassed the height of British Asian culture, musical culture.
Yeah.
And he's almost the poster boy for that for us.
Yeah.
To an extent. He did this fusion music. He brought two worlds together. He went mainstream, and the whole campaign was great. So we approached Rishi, and we had a really good dialogue with him. And we said, "Do you have possibly anything in your library that we could potentially use as our marketing campaign for season 2?" And he provided us with an amazing remix of Joli Ka Piche, which was unbelievable, and it was everything we were looking for. It had that real grungy vibe about it, real low music, what you want to bop your head to, but at the same time it had the nostalgia when you could hear the little sample of the cook 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 cook. You're like, you know what? Sick. That's brilliant. That's sick. Exactly what we wanted. So we used that to market season 2, and that's what you see on the season 2 trailer. You hear that, and a big thank you to Rishi for that. We at the same time we did discuss potentially opportunity for Makh to spit a few bars for him. That may be in the pipeline as well. We're hoping to open up a dialogue with him, but he's extremely busy with his new record label and his releases at the moment. But we're hoping it comes back full circle and we end up working with him again.
Oh, definitely, man. And we got to give the salute to Raj. You're the guy. Raj guy, man.
Yeah.
Raj is the guy.
Top lad.
No, Raj has been great throughout. Yeah, I mean, obviously he's helping us run the PR campaign for We Make Events and the second season of the podcast. But more importantly as well, he also opened up a real positive dialogue with us when it came to season 1, and obviously was a big help getting our artists on the show as well. So big up Raj and Media Moguls.
Yeah, 100%.
Could I ask a question? Yeah, big up Raj, man, and Media Moguls. Could I ask a question about the frequency of your podcast? So we got is it monthly, or how did it run?
Yeah, so we with season 1, we decided to drop them weekly. wanted to keep people engaged. We wanted to give them the material and the content as often as possible.
Yeah.
We actually initially decided, didn't we, Matt, that we were going to slow it down for season 2, maybe to once every 2 or 3 weeks. But after actually looking at what the industry is already doing, we thought, okay, rather than dragging this out across 4 or 5 months for the releases, let's just put it out there weekly, boom, 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 let's drop them. And then the best thing about podcasting, it's obviously different to live radio. I mean, of course, you can always listen again to live radio, but it's almost a snapshot in time. But with podcasts, our narrative is often quite timeless. We don't tend to talk about a lot of current affairs. We tend to focus on our guests and their story, which is going to be timeless. So it allows people to listen back. And fortunately for us, season 1 has been listened to up until now. So now we're kickstarting with season 2. It should be the same, but it gives us an opportunity to spend a lot of time planning. We drop it over every week for 12 weeks, so 12 episodes every week, and then it allows us to continue pushing it until we decide we want to do another season.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, guys. What I was thinking, I said this to Raj on the message on Instagram. I was thinking maybe I could give you some support as well at RadiAsian, because my listenership happens to be quite big internationally, believe it or not. Even though we're called RadiAsian.London, we're quite big in India. And, if you look at the countries, if you look on Instagram, you'll see how many countries we've hit. We just hit Azerbaijan,
Brilliant.
which had an information blockade. Let me give you a proposition. So let's say, as you submit the things to your, whatever it is you're uploading, your podcast, whatever you're going to, however medium it is to upload. I'm not sure how podcasts work, but feel free to email me across your shows, and what I'll do, just let me know what slot to allocate every week, or whenever, and I'll put it up for our listenership as well. So therefore that'll help you spread a lot faster. If you want that, it's there.
That's great.
No, absolutely. That'd be a great thing to discuss. I mean, obviously we want to hit as many ears as possible.
Yes.
Not just obviously promoting our own band, but our subjects and our guests that we have on the show, they have such good stories to tell, all different in every way, and we end up having great conversations. I mean, we say it a million times to our guests that we allocate an hour, but we end up going over, and the reason why is because we open up conversations, and they love going down different avenues and different roads, and we allow them to, and we don't cut that out. And the reason why we don't cut that out is because I think it's almost disrespectful, because if they've got such an interesting story to tell, let's let them tell it. We're using our podcast as an opportunity. We originally started it to think, it'd be great for nostalgia, for people to understand these guests and what music they listen to and what influenced them coming up. But at the same time, we found with the younger generation, it's educating them to think, okay, so my favorite artist or my favorite comedian was listening to this kind of music.
Yeah.
Let me go and have a look on Spotify or Apple Music. Although our guests were probably buying CDs and records.
Yes.
It's bringing it into the new gen and allowing on-demand music. That's why we've got Spotify playlists for each episode as well, to say, okay, this is what your favorite guest was listening to, and this is what they spoke about, to kind of paint that picture. So and we want to hit as many ears as possible. So I really thank you for that proposition, Dav, and we will look at taking that up.
Cool, bro. Cool. Because it's all about giving support. And I'll tell you something else, which not many people are on the ball with. Right, here we go. Where you're under corporates, right, you also have a hand around your throat as well. You guys don't talk about anything major, which could be flagged up as a threat to national security or anything. Yeah, well, I hope not. But
only off the air.
off the air. But what I'm saying is, there are certain loopholes and certain things you can do, which I am enjoying actually right now, and you will be also afforded that. So should you want to put an unedited version or whatever, you can also send that across. So that's the support I can give. Further, we have a brother which is very, very close to home for you guys in Leeds. His name's Silverfinger Singh for BBC Radio Leeds.
Absolutely, yeah. Pick up Silverfinger, top guy.
And he said he'll want to support as well, so that'll try and give you some more support as well. It's basically, I have a lot of time for those with a charitable heart, because if it's all mehi Allah duniya cha, I don't have much time for those people. I don't have time for arrogant people either, believe it or not. I've had to knock back quite a few interviews because someone's up their own backside, and I'll just tell them straight. Right, so have you had any hurdles in your journey? I understand people are proud. Have you had any people saying, but you said that they opened up off the recording that they told you about the struggle. So
yeah, I mean, I don't think we've been really fortunate, because when we came up with the idea for the Roots and Rhymes podcast, we're brainstorming ideas, and we kind of almost mind mapped what an ideal episode would look like, and what guest would be on that. And we were so fortunate, and Mac will definitely back me up on this. It went far beyond our expectations.
Yeah,
we actually went from cold emailing people saying, "Do you want to be on the show?" Blah blah blah, and then coming back and saying, "Yeah, why not?" We had no listenership. They didn't know us from Adam. I just had my biography. I had 15 years of DJing experience, and Mac was my master of ceremony. I've made friends in the industry. I've done a few events here and there, but I'm a nobody, right?
Don't say that.
Do you want to come on my show and talk about it? No, but within the industry, I'm not. I wasn't extremely well known, but people actually saying, "Yeah, why not? We want to talk about our inspirations and that kind of thing." And you'll hear on this week's episode, dropping on Wednesday for season 2, that our artist basically turns around and says, "You know what? You guys go into the crux of things, and you talk about and you research us so much that you create questions that we've never been asked before. And it's not like a regular interview where it's kind of like, oh, so why should people listen to your music, and why should..." Even Jay Sean said it. He was like, the funniest thing that I've ever been asked is, why should somebody come to my concert? I've come to promote my concert on radio. Why are you asking me a question like that? Why should somebody come to my concert? It's just ridiculous. So he ended up giving a stupid answer to that interviewer at the time, but people really appreciate that. So fortunately, the hurdles haven't consisted of the people and the guests that we've had on the show. The hurdles are more a case of getting it out there. I mean, there's massive platforms out there, and podcasting has gone up 100% over lockdown. People are creating more, and people are listening more. And we've jumped on that, but hopefully the content that we're putting out stands out from everybody else, and we will overcome them hurdles.
Hurdles really, I mean, it's one of those things where not specific to the podcasting industry. The hurdles are relevant to anything. Like you were talking about small businesses earlier on.
Yes.
The hurdle is the hustle. That's where it comes down to. That's the real hurdle here. Is like, how do you break through when you don't have the listenership, when you're an unknown entity, when people aren't sure what you represent. But I think what we managed to achieve with season 1 is that we backed up our intention with the work. So yes, we had to hustle, and for every 50 emails, you may only get 1 reply, but it's just a numbers game. But I think what we managed to see was, when other artists heard us interview people, they could see what we were trying to achieve through that, and they wanted to be involved in that conversation. So actually, once the door was open and we had people locked in, they were looking forward to, as Chun say, expressing a side of themselves, which they don't usually get to, meet. Like you're saying as well, Dav, like a lot of outlets are highly regulated or really, really strictly focused, so that these artists, if they do 50 interviews, they're probably going to be the same questions in every interview, whereas with Roots and Rhymes, they get to talk about stuff unregulated, completely off the script. They get to show parts of their personality which are genuinely them, and not just give us a soundbite so we can throw it on an interview or a radio somewhere. That's it. This is getting to the heart of what that person is and what they represent.
Beautiful. What a beautiful.
We said this often last season, Dav. We said we accidentally ended up having a number of exclusives on the episodes that a lot of the guests would tell us that has never been heard before, or stories that nobody's ever heard before. And we'd get off the air, and myself and Mac would often wrap up and conclude, how do you think it went? What, it's a great angle, blah, blah, blah. And we always said that we're not here for exclusive, but it's great that these people are talking to us quite openly, that they can tell us these things. And we never promoted them exclusives as well. We didn't ever put a big news flash and say, Richie Rich said this, right? We never really did that, right? But we always were open to having the discussion about things. And we asked questions that often other people wouldn't ask. For example, the one sticks out in my mind with Jay Sean. I said to him, I said, Jay, I'm a big fan of your work, right? And obviously you went over to the US and you worked with Cash Money Records, which is a massive achievement. Big. But I will tell you from my perspective, and you tell me how you feel about that. But from my perspective, the longer you were there, the more your work was diluted, and it ended up becoming too poppy. And then all of a sudden you left Cash Money, and you left Cash Money and you released your track with Sean Paul, Make My Love Go, and it was like, wow, this is Jay Sean back. Was that the case for you? And he said, yeah. He goes, I was sick of doing the pop music, and I really appreciated him not giving us a soundbite or a orchestrated answer. He was completely truthful in the situation, and that's what we were aiming to do. Is like Max said, not get the sound bites, break down the layers, and actually speak to them quite openly. And often they did. Once the first or second question got out of the way, you found them loosening up and going off in that direction. But just to conclude on the hurdles side of things, and also bringing it in with the retraining side, one thing that me and Mac are not trained, our minds are not trained in, is social media. Social media does not come naturally to us. We're not from that era. And that's part of the reason why we took a sabbatical from DJing and a microphone control, because the era that we decided to take a break was the era when Facebook events and groups went massive, because it turned into, we're not going to book you based on how good you are. We're going to book you based on how many people you can get on my guest list. And because that didn't come naturally to us, we were all about, I want to go and play good music for people. I want to get crowd engagement like we grew up going to clubs and listening to. That's what we wanted to do. But the game changed, and we were like, you know what? I fell out of love with the game because of that. And often with the podcast now, it was a case of we need to really push the social media, and that's what we're doing in season 2. We ended up investing our time and effort into making the Instagram look good, because unfortunately or fortunately, it's the platform which is going to make or break you. It's going to push your name out there, and that's what we're aiming to do.
To be honest, I am a dinosaur when it comes to the whole social media sort of things. I don't even use a mobile phone. How about that? Yeah, that's gonna sound batshit right to you, right? But I don't use a mobile phone, and people think I'm weird for it. People think, oh, maybe you're under surveillance for being some drug lord or something. But no, what it is I suffer with a condition called electromagnetic hypersensitivity, so therefore I can't even use the MacBook Pro without an external wired keyboard. And
oh wow,
so,
to keep the distance.
So as a result, tagging on Instagram has been delegated. Claire manages all the tagging of the Instagram stuff. So she manages that, and she's I was a bit of a dinosaur to it. What do you make of this whole in a bubble? They're actually considering. I know it sounds mad, but people actually being in a physical air-filled bubble and attending gigs.
I think it takes away from the aspect of the.
It does, yeah.
The environment, the vibe is the biggest thing. I mean, come on, when you're at a concert, you don't just vibe off the guy on stage; you vibe off the crowd and who's there. I mean, from a me standing on stage perspective, I'm gonna be like, are these guys actually hearing my music as it's intended to be heard, not through a PVC or a plastic bubble, which will probably muffle the sound a little bit.
Yeah,
they're not going to hear and be able to appreciate that. And secondly, as a spectator to a concert, it's a case of I might as well just be watching this at home. I might as well do it on Zoom. Why I'm not able to vibe off the crowd? There's no mosh pits anymore.
Yeah.
You know, when the music drops, everybody gets involved. There's none of that anymore. That's all a part of the vibe. I mean, the last concert I went to just before lockdown, it was in February, was the Kano concert at the Leeds O2 Academy, and I will tell you what, it was a fantastic concert, fantastic artists, fantastic stage set, everything. But it was because you had the crowd just hyping and singing along with him, and that creates the atmosphere.
Yeah,
that'll die in a bubble.
It's I think that what people are trying to do is they're trying to look at how do we get things going again, how do we adjust to the situation and still try and keep them alive. But the one thing that's becoming apparent, and this is this is my opinion, but it's my strong opinion, that you can do all this stuff virtually. You can do things in a half-hearted way. You can be in a bubble. You can have 2,000 fans in an 8,000-seater football stadium. Yeah, you can do all that kind of stuff. But what's becoming apparent is it dilutes the experience. And what makes humans human is, as much as you see all these films about the future where everyone doesn't leave their house and lives through artificial intelligence or lives through the computers, there is nothing better than sitting in front of another human being sharing an experience.
True.
You don't get eye contact on Zoom.
Yeah, a stranger as well.
Yeah, you don't feel energy on Zoom. You don't see body language on Zoom. 90% of your communication is lost. And this is why I get it. I get it why people want to do this stuff. But realistically, you've got to have the human experience. So yeah, it might be a temporary stopgap, but I'm not a fan of
neither am I.
Human touch, human interaction, vibe.
Absolutely
nothing without that stuff.
That's energy, man. That's the positive energy, and that's what this goes off. Because we did a couple of virtual live charity events over the year to help out for various different causes, and the first one, Mac actually said to me, he goes, "Chunz, what's this going to be like? Because I need to vibe off the crowd. For me to hype up, I need to vibe off them, and there is no crowd." I said, bro, you're going to have to keep watching the comments, get on that vibe, and going to have to vibe at the people behind the camera that are running the event. Hopefully they'll help us provide that atmosphere. And fortunately, it worked out really well. It was great, but it nowhere near has the same energy as it when you drop a song and the crowd goes wild, or Mike says something to the crowd and they respond. That kind of energy is unparalleled. You can't basically replicate that in any way.
Wow, I've interviewed many people over the last year, and they've all said about the whole virtual concerts thing, how it's very, very difficult to actually generate that enthusiasm and happiness within yourself to do it. You know what I mean? It's like Jabera Marke Gandhi. It's just it's terrible, but but
absolutely,
but it's their way of retaining their listenership and gaining new fans. So you've got a brother over here in London, maybe one of the rough parts of London where there's shootings and stabbings, but still I'm here to give you support. I've already given you the thing saying I'll give you however many hours you need on the RadiAsian server, because obviously this show is going to be repeated at midnight because the majority of our listenership, believe it or not, is international. And I'm just trying to give you the most exposure that you can to help brothers out, charitable. May you how about this? May the people which are financing the vaccines, all there's millions and billions behind it, may they bloody put an injection of cash into backup. You know what I mean? How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And there's a massive corporate social responsibility as well within these organizations that they need to look at. But who knows? They may be seeing the fact that they're putting the vaccine out as their charitable act to get things back up and running. There's almost that level of it. But hey ho, I mean, we can only look forward and obviously try and overcome this. I know it's obviously extremely difficult times. We really appreciate you, Dav, giving us this platform and allowing us the opportunity for the RadiAsian server to put out. And we're definitely going to look at taking you up on that, and we'll definitely discuss it.
It's okay, my brothers, man. Is there anything which I haven't asked you that you wanted me to ask you?
No, I really enjoyed this. I think it was a good conversation. We We had a really good talk about every single aspect of what we're about. I think you've got a good thing going here, Raj, on RadiAsian Dev. So keep doing it, man. Stay strong.
It's cool,
and,
but the day that I shave off my hair is the day you can call me Raj.
No, it's been great. It's been great.
Kind of came out as Raj.
Yeah. I love it.
Power, man.
I love it, but
it's been great, Dave. It's been great. It's nice to be on the other side of an interview for a change as well, and it's nice to, we're not restricted in what we say here. You're willing to shine a light on different perspectives and ask questions that would be censored in other places. So, you know what, we definitely need voices like yours to keep things in the light, so that a lot of these issues don't go missing. So really appreciate it, man. Really appreciate the platform.
It's okay, my brother, man. It's okay. So am I correct on your socials? Instagram, Roots and Rhymes. Love the artwork on that. I jacked that for the poster, the yellow one with the yellow background.
Yeah.
Who did the photography, by the way?
Oh, so that's a local photographer here in Leeds. He actually does a lot for a lot of the DJs and the up and comers. It's a guy called Joe B. Photography. He's done a lot of work with retail guys. It's really talented chap, really nice guy.
Yeah.
Really shared our ideas.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Really helped us out massively with that.
Brilliant. Facebook, Roots and Rhymes. Twitter, Roots and Rhymes. Like I said, my brothers, you got a brother over here in the rough part of London. If I'm not shot dead or not bumped off by the establishment, I'll always be there to support. And just like I said, you got the email. We transfer across the podcast or the WAV file or the MP3. And it'll be up. Just tell me what slot you want, and I'll sort it out. But remember, biggest listenership is into Nash. That's why I'm going to grow the mustache, because I'm into Nash. And also, and thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dad.
Really appreciate it.
It's
Thank
okay,
you,
man. God bless you, my brothers, man, and may your roti always be round. Cool.
Who knows yours? See you later. Enjoy.
God bless you, brothers. Bye.
God bless you, bro. Take care.